Bad today, just wait. Tomorrow, it's gonna be worse. That's one thing these treasonous, seditious Republican traitors are gonna give us is worse news every day, right? And welcome to All Good Things and All Good Time. That's my channel. There's a whole lot of other content other than the god-awful news. But this is the god-awful news. I haven't done the god-awful news for 3.5 weeks because it's just been so awful. But I've been productively procrastinating. If you're going to not do one thing, I recommend you do something else that you need to do, or something productive. I haven't been feeling well the last 36 hours. I'm just coming out of it. And that's something I'm going to talk about as well. I have a list of terrible news. It's all so awful. All these constitutional oath breakers. I've never taken an oath to defend or protect the Constitution, but I feel a much stronger adherence to defending and protecting the Constitution than apparently all federal officers, all National Guard members. They don't have to follow unlawful, unconstitutional orders, but they do, and it is just infuriating and saddening to watch, right? It's just brutal watching all of these crimes committed by what are supposed to be law enforcement that we're supposed to trust. They don't seem to have come here yet, but we've got to be a target. I'm sure that evil god-awful person, Stephen Miller, is just waiting, to come here because there's a lot of brown-skinned people in the state of Hawaii. And yeah, it's just going to be awful, when they come to your town. And isn't it amazing, right? The liar in chief. Hey, John, what's up, brother? Man, I think about you. I was just listening to a lot of music, like good music I hadn't listened to in a long time, rediscovering, like Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam, such a good song. And I've never known the lyrics, but I just watched videos where those were shown, and that was good because there's no way to tell the lyrics of that song. And then Charles Bradley doing Ozzy Osbourne's song, or Black Sabbath song, Changes. Oh, that's so good. And then I Am Tongi, singing Monsters to his dad. Yeah, I was crying I was just crying. But I know you're a music lover, so I was thinking about you. And High Ren, I was watching Luke Nelson, who you mentioned, just mentioned High Ren, and I just watched that again. That's just a wild song that he did in his medical garb. But yeah, there's just so much bad news. But here's the thing. Let's talk about something that isn't bad news, but it might be. I don't get sick very easily, very often, or much at all. The last time I felt pretty bad that I can remember was 2019, right before COVID. But it was probably COVID, right? It was December 2019, and I've been so lucky like this. When I have been injured or not feeling well, I had 2 days off, and it only lasted 2 days, and then I went back to work. I didn't miss any work, but I just got what feels like the same thing. It started in the back of my throat, moved up into my nose, down into my lungs, just like COVID did, and then into my body, and headache, although the headache was probably compounded by the fact that I stopped drinking coffee for 2 days. So I'm drinking coffee. But that is profound, because what if COVID makes a comeback? What if it's here already and we don't know it? Like, Hawaii is such a cross-section, right? You might live in a small town anywhere in America, and you don't have the guests in your town that we have here. We have, 150 countries visiting us, or whatever, however many aren't afraid right now to come here. But so our tendency to be able to accept illnesses and colds, is ever present. And that's why we shut down during COVID in Hawaii, because we are just a cross section for all international travelers, right? Hawaii is so lovable. The one place in America that people might still go, no matter how much they despise America right now, is Hawaii. So we appreciate that. Although it definitely looks like right now in the parking garage downstairs, I think some of the visitors to this property were Canadians, because there's a lot of missing. There's maybe the parking spaces downstairs in this building are probably 40% filled, if that, maybe 30. So, and that relates to the people in the places. Anyway, God, it's so funny. I mean, it's not funny, it's sad, but Washington, D.C. has, we got military, we got martial law, we got the military in the streets. When there's no crime, there's no emergency. Crime is down more than it's ever been in Washington, D.C. And that's when it's a hellhole, and we got to put the troops in the streets. It's just despicable. And then Chicago, also a great city, a safe city. I walked all night long. After I did that 6 minutes at the Laugh Factory, I walked 4 miles to my hotel. No problem. I didn't actually see one person all across, right? Like, not one person, not a homeless person, not a dangerous person. I didn't see one person for 4 miles. I left the bar like 2:30 in the morning, 2 whatever it was, 1 o'clock, because I went out with the manager and had a drink, and then I was like, oh shit, I gotta get back to my hotel, and I was like, I'll just walk it. So I did. Anyway, Chicago's great, and where I was staying, which is kind of close to the University of Chicago downtown, because the streets are so wide, and there's tons of free parking everywhere in Chicago, very wide streets, and there's no glass on the side of the sidewalk, right? So unlike San Francisco or other places where they've had problems with break-ins, that's a surefire sign to think, oh, maybe your car won't be safe here, is when you see broken glass, right? So I didn't see any of that in Chicago. No broken glass anywhere, because cars weren't getting broken into. So instead of paying $50 a day at the Hyatt House, it was $92 for my room, $50 for parking. I didn't pay $50 for parked on the street, and saved $50 a day because Chicago is a safe city. Oh my God! And they have so much great stuff for tourists. The museums are amazing. The Bean is hysterical because it's a bean, and all the rest. Anyway, it just hurts. It hurts. And meanwhile, so many lives are being destroyed, people being killed, starved to death, bombed to death, heads beaten into the ground, injured, dying, running from immigration, Nazi boot thugs. I mean, it's just unbelievable, and it is heartbreaking. And so here we are. Oh, and this Trump, speaking of killing people, Trump just murdered 11 people in the Caribbean who were maybe bringing drugs into our country or across the channel to some place. We don't even know they're coming to the U.S. But like a gentleman from Midas Touch was mentioning, why wouldn't you just arrest them, seize the drugs, and prosecute them? Oh no, but it's just easier for them to put on this show of murdering people. Basically, and of course now we've talked about this before, but we've declared war essentially on both Mexico and Venezuela, maybe Panama, Greenland. We tried to talk about doing that to Canada, but I think the dumb Republicans eventually remembered, oh, Canada is also England, and that's not going to be easy, right? And so on. So let's go through a lot of the news stories. 1,000 HHS employees are calling for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s firing. So to my point, like, now that we have these psychotic, and that's one of the most interesting stories that came out recently, which is that Republicans are psychotic. They have a far greater propensity to be psychotic people, right? Which anyone who isn't a psychotic Republican, well, we know that, you know, and we won't associate with those deplorable, disgusting people. We've cut them out of our lives. They now stand for such horrible things. I could never allow myself to associate with people that are that terrible. Anyway, so while I've been productively procrastinating, I have registered for classes. There were a whole bunch of classes I was trying to figure out between, and just when I thought I had it figured out, I overheard a radio advertisement from Maui Economic Opportunities for people who want to start a business. So I signed up for that, and now I'm taking 3 college courses and that. So it's kind of like a full load, and that business course is going to teach me how to make a business plan, but it also might on the back end have financial support for the start of a business. Also just ran into a friend I haven't seen in a long time, and they are an accountant, and I'm already dreaming of asking them to help me out. I also want to take an accounting 1 at school, and I'm going to ask this person to be my tutor because when it comes to math, there's nothing like having a tutor. Yeah, I haven't eaten anything for almost 2 days, which is something I kind of wanted to do anyway. After the colonoscopy, this consciousness of the health of my intestines became something I just never really thought about. And I wanted to go through a couple days of not eating in order to cleanse, right? But how do you do that? And I was going to make Jell-O, which I'm about to make, but no ordinary Jell-O, because that's one of the things you can eat when you're leading up to a colonoscopy and you're trying to clean out your internals, right? And I don't know why no one's ever done this. Like Jell-O, the Jell-O company hasn't done this, but there's so many ways you could make Jell-O better, right? You could add probiotics to it. You could add electrolytes. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make Jell-O with various juices, with noni juice, with aloe vera juice and aloe vera chunks. I was thinking I could put tofu in there, right? Which would kind of be like food, but and then I want to layer it in the colors. Like one I've got citrus. One layer could be the lime flavored Jell-O, but with citrus. Anyway, so I'm hoping to do that next, and then go from not eating to only eating my weird Jell-O for a few days or a day or two, which I learned leading up to the colonoscopy. You can fill up on Jell-O. You eat a couple, 2-3 bowls of Jell-O, you'll be full, and it'll work. So it's interesting. And not feeling well, not eating, of course, has really served me well in my effort to lose weight. I started this weight loss program at 237 pounds. And right now, my scale over here, I'm 215, so I'm 22 down. I want to lose basically 80 pounds. So I'm 25% of my way to my goal. While I've been productively procrastinating, it's really easy to procrastinate doing everything in life when you're going to exercise, right? Because exercise can be a priority for us. And I have made it a priority, and I am now fully habituated. I've been going 7 days a week. When you see pounds coming off on the scale, you just want to go back to the gym the next day and do another hour of cardio, right? And go to the pool and swim laps and hit the ocean. I've finally been going to beaches and doing ocean swims, like almost every day at sunrise, sunset. Something I should be doing, should have been doing for years and years. I still am not habituated back into the mountains. I need to do that. But I have been getting out and living life and having a really great life, which I almost feel I should feel guilty about, considering how awful so many people's lives are becoming because of these god-awful Republicans and all of their oath breaking to the Constitution. It is just unbelievable. There are 4,400 roughly elected Republicans in our country that are all complicit in breaking the Constitution, in destroying our democracy. And it is truly, truly, truly saddening. So, but just because the news is depressing doesn't mean you and I got to be depressed. So, I recommend, of course, I've been talking about eating right, and sleeping right, and exercising, but I haven't really fulfilled my own need to exercise until now. And I am training like a mofo every day. I go to the pool, I swim a half mile, and then I go to the gym, I do an hour of elliptical, I lift some weights, and that's just the beginning, right? But also, like, I just get so disgusted watching all these horrible people from the right who are making podcasts acting like snobs because they exercise. Like even this guy Hageman, the neuroscientist from Stanford, he's like, oh, people just don't want to. They don't want to exercise. And it's like, no one taught them how. They haven't learned how to exercise. And that's because of stupid fucking cell phones, pardon my language. Right? Parents are doing this. They're not going, hey kids, let's go do stuff, right? So, yeah, I'm a little brain fogged. I think I had COVID. So now that we have just imbeciles destroying the CDC and freaks afraid of vaccines, which is ignorant. It's like being afraid of evolution. Oh my God. Anyway, I saw the South Park episodes. I don't have the stuff, but my buddy Spud does. So I was at his house this week and I saw all 3 episodes of South Park. Oh my God. And in one of them, if you don't know this, they have this redneck character refer to Trump as a retread, the other word, maggot, but with an F. A retread maggot, but really they said RETARD FAGGOT. I mean, it's so offensive. Like, I don't want to offend anybody saying those words. They're worse than swear words, in some ways. Although I don't look at those words as demeaning towards those people, although they feel that way. I would love to use those words when referring to Donald Trump, and it just feels so good. Oh my God, it's worth seeing. South Park, God bless those guys. And they signed a $1.5 billion contract with the very company that bowed to Trump and paid him money so they could do their merger, right? Interesting. And Kristi Noem's face. Oh, they do such a great job. And her shooting puppies, the disgusting Republican woman that she is. In today's episode, we're going to address something that's important, and that is what Republicans don't seem to understand, and that is the definition of a man, right? The one thing Republicans have no concept of, no perspective of, is the definition of a man. And because it's so obvious and so simple, I'm going to explain where it starts, which is why Republicans are so ignorant. A man is a person who fights for women, alongside women, who fights alongside women, for women. Through centuries and millennia, men have fought for women. And Republican men don't do that. They fight to harm women, and it's disgusting. Oh, and now they want to take away their right to vote, which is gross and deplorable. They want to take away their right to contraception, their right to reproductive health care. They've already taken away that right in 25 S-hole Republican states. God, I feel so sorry for women of childbearing years in Republicans. How about these Christians wanting to lower the age of consent to 14, right? Oh my God. Why are Republicans, Christians, so dedicated to rape and murder? These are the thou shalt rape, thou shalt murder Republicans. It's so perplexing. It seems, even though it's all in this weird world of religious belief, within their religious belief, it seems pretty weird, that you'd be religious and be, but then I guess look at the Jewish state of Israel, just committing ethnic cleansing, genocide. Oh, today, 113 people were murdered in Gaza. 50 of them were children. 20 of those children were murdered going for aid, going for food, right? Because that's what the Israeli government's doing. And I guess some psychotic former CIA guys are just having target practice, shooting children in the testicles, just having target practice, human target practice in Gaza. It is brutal. And of course, some people in the news don't want to report on it, but it just goes on every single day. 100 people are murdered. And it breaks the world's heart, right? And in England, they've got these laws saying that if you stand by Palestine, you're a terrorist, and that's crazy. Oh, I'm sorry, as I said, I've got a little cold. Probably COVID. So what if COVID takes off in America, right? And we just stop giving free vaccines out or making them something that people can get without a doctor's prescription, but now they have to get a doctor's prescription to get a COVID vaccine. And there are people that need that stuff, right? Not everybody has a strong immune system like me. And of course, I've been such a fiend, I used to say, I'd be a more perfect person if I was addicted to eating right and exercising. And I am currently addicted to eating and exercising, which makes me feel good about myself. And so getting sick for a couple days has been kind of good, because it means I've taken a break, given my body a chance to recover from 7 days a week. For 2 months now, I've been working out 7 days a week, trying to peel back these pounds and trying to put some muscle back on, and basically training for next year's canoe paddling season. This year's canoe paddling season was more like a personal fat camp for me. But it got me motivated, got me going. And Spud might let me use his one-man canoe in one of the one-man races, which is off-season. So that'll just give me a reason, even if it never happens, to just train hard for that, because that's kind of a litmus test on where you are in your training, how you would match up against everybody else in a one-man canoe, right, where there's nobody else in the canoe. So yeah, I got 4 pages of terrible news from the last 3 weeks. What are you gonna do? I can't believe what's going on. It's so despicable. Republicans are so despicable, and none of them have a conscience in any way. They are all just bribe takers, bribe makers. Now, it's interesting because 2 or 3 of them actually care maybe about the truth, about all the children that have been raped by Epstein and Trump and all their buddies. Oh, God. I saw a woman explain the time when she was, I didn't look at their testimony because I've seen their testimony. Most of them have made some sort of interview somewhere along the way, and this one woman recants being raped by Trump, where she was begging him to use a condom, and he hit her in the face while she was tied up, a 13-year-old. I mean, I don't know how people overlook that shit, but that's out there. Anyway, none of it surprises me. Trump is Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. Like, why can't Republicans figure it out? They are so weird in the way that they fear the truth. All right, so Roger Clemens. Trump wants to get Roger Clemens, one of America's biggest dicks, into the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's like, oh, let him in now. And then, yeah, anyway, so that's interesting. And then there's all the conjecture about Trump being sick. Of course, everyone's hoping he's sick and that he'll die soon, although what will come after him will be very scary. The thing is, maybe J.D. Vance would put some competent people in some roles and fire some of these imbeciles and drug addicts and rapists and drunks, incompetent, just criminals, right? That he's appointed to all these positions. But Peter Thiel and Palantir is just making a move right now behind the scenes, in back alleys, in back rooms. They are amassing all of our data, and we don't even know the war that they're going to wage on all of us with all of our data. Like, will they start? I mean, the federal government can go in and just take your money out of your bank account if they want to, right? How long will it be before Trump starts doing that to people? Or, I mean, he's already tried to label Democrats as terrorists. I mean, it is, yeah. Anyway, we are heading towards a mass surveillance state. What we need are politicians who want to run for office for the sake of making the world a better place and eliminating and stopping any and all mass surveillance. We don't need facial recognition, plate readers. We need to live in a free society where we're not being monitored, where people don't know everywhere we go all the time and all of our habits, and AI is trying to decide whether or not we're going to commit a crime someday and if we should be arrested preemptively, right? It's like that freaking movie. Jillian Michaels has proven to be a racist piece of dung. Do you like your hair pulled? Do you still cook meth with Tony? What is that? With Tony? I've never cooked meth with anybody. I have freebased some cocaine, though. I'm just lucky to be alive at this age. That was 1989, for those of you who weren't around then. It's when George Bush Sr. took office, former CIA director, and he and Clinton brought in so much cocaine, the price went down to dirt cheap. There has been this sort of constant in the cocaine world. A gram of cocaine since 1985 has been $100. But in 1989, it dropped to, like, what was it, $50? It was $100 for an 8-ball, which is 3.5 grams, which is enough for, oh God. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, there's no emergency. America is doing great. Oh, except for we have these racist traitors, these seditious, evil bastards, Republicans, who have seized power and don't want to let it go. Right? They're gonna. You just signed the thing saying we got to eliminate mail-in voting. My whole state votes mail-in. So that is and the whole idea there is to put National Guard people at the polls where you're forced to go. To intimidate you. I just don't see that happening. I see people getting more motivated to vote more. Yeah. BJ Penn, if you follow UFC, this is some local news. He was arrested like 3 times in 3 days. He might be, the conjecture is that he might be on methamphetamine. But we also know that he's had his head beat against the ground like an immigrant, an innocent immigrant who's never committed a crime, having his head beat against the ground by a oath-breaking ICE agent, federal officer, right? We've seen that, and that's just awful. But we've also seen it happen to B.J. Penn, and he's lost his mind. The poor guy, he thinks his mom is an imposter in his own house, and he is a danger probably to her, and it's very sad. It's probably concussion related, but there's also, maybe it's concussion mixed with meth, maybe it's meth, I don't know. But of course, B.J. Penn ran for office as a disgusting Republican recently. I mean, I just don't get how any local boy could want to work with the people who are imperialists, who want to take over countries and states like was done to Hawaii by a Republican. Trump's favorite president, McKinley, right, stole Hawaii. And anyway, so that's local. Joe Rogan is such a douche. What a douche. He's so ignorant. He recently said, I've looked at the studies, and global warming, the earth has been hotter and colder before. Oh my God, what a dip moron. And he has so much influence, and it's so sad. So what he's referring to is how temperatures have changed over the thousands of years. But what's happening right now is an accelerated rate that he fails to realize. So yeah, he is just dragging his ignorant followers' minds through mud, teaching them to be un-American. And it's just sad. But he's one of the many Republicans that don't understand what it means to be a man. A man, again, is someone who fights for women, fights with women, for women. How do you not get that? And by the way, if you're trying to get laid and you're out on a date and you tell her, hey, you know what I think is you should just become my sandwich maker. You should just do my dishes. You should sew my clothes, and you should make my sandwiches. Cook and clean for me, because that's what you're for. Oh, how about this sick psychopath? Of course, we know Republicans are psychopaths. Sick religious psychopath. Of course, that's what so many of them are. Doug Wilson, founder of the church that Pete Hegseth is a member of, saying that women are people who have children. Women are people who give birth to women. That's all you are to Republican, dirty, disgusting traitors. And that is so offensive. But Doug Wilson said that just like 2 weeks ago. Oh, and he, of course, the I've Had It ladies, really, they've surged since they probably had 300,000 followers when I started following them. Now they're at 1.13 million. And they went viral with their Kankles McTaco Tits, which is the name of this video. So great. I just wanted to give them pay some homage to them. I put a K instead of a C. I think it looks better that way. But, oh God. They are so brave, and they take no shit. And they are just holding Republicans to the fire. And it's wonderful to watch. It feels good to watch. And they are now becoming super famous. And Jesse Dollmore's over 1 million subscribers. And Midas Touch is just crushing it. Of course, none of those guys are taking the dark money. Apparently, David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen have been taking dark, weird Democrat money, where they've asked, I think, not to talk about Gaza and stuff. And I just don't see anyone in the world, anywhere, ever having any respect for the state of Israel. It's just a pariah. I mean, and maybe you can make the argument that it'll be a long time before anybody respects the United States, if ever again, because we have become a pariah in the world. It is so disappointing because the majority of Americans do not want any of this, and those that do are the psychopaths, the Republican psychopaths. So, yeah, and then of course the Fed, they are just on a rampage, firing anyone that's a woman because you women aren't supposed to have jobs. It's just so ignorant. Like, how are any Republicans ever going to meet a woman smart enough to like tie her own shoes? If the women you're meeting think it's great, they like the idea of you thinking of them as subhuman. I mean, you're never gonna get laid, and if you do, man, is that gonna be a low quality woman? Holy shit. So what did they do? They just fired the first black woman hired to the Fed, and they have no power to do this. First thing you learn in economics class is that the Fed is separate from the president. President has no influence on the Fed, cannot touch it. Its job is to follow economic policy and work hard to protect us from, amongst other things, hyper or superinflation, which will completely destroy our lives, like it did in Germany right before World War II, like it did in Brazil. Right, we don't want hyperinflation, superinflation. Although it seems like we're having it already. The can of coffee before Trump at Costco was $10.99. Now it's $20.99. It is 100% more expensive, and that's just one item at Costco, which is the lowest price of any product out there. So what used to be $3 a pound is $6 a pound, thanks to Trump being a moron. Oh, how about other countries actually holding people accountable to their constitution, to their laws, like Brazil? And the president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, a Trump stooge, who incited an insurrection and the actions of a seditious traitor in his country, he's probably going to go to jail because he should. And so what does Trump do? He says, I got to impose really big tariffs on you because you shouldn't do that to my friend who's also a traitor. Anyway. And then there's evil Tom Homan. Holy crap. He's just out there to harm this country in countless ways. He's just gross. He's a gross human. I don't imagine a world where any of these people are going to be free of their own criminal actions, right? People are going to want to hold all of these criminals to account for the rest of all of our lives. What are you going to do? How about we have deported people by dark of night. We don't know how many people, but at least 8 people definitely have been reported, have been deported to Rwanda. People who are not from Africa, deported to Africa, right? Someone from, Thailand or Malaysia sent to Africa. It is just cruel and inhumane. And to countries where there are conflicts, Sudan, and how about the 600 children in the middle of the night? They tried to sneak off to Ecuador, where they would be tortured, mistreated, assaulted, and hurt by their own government. And in the middle of the night, a judge with a heart and a soul and a conscience found out and stopped it. It is just despicable, but that's what we expect from Republican traitors, just despicable everything. I just can't believe there aren't even more, no Republicans have any conscience. The votes for people that made no sense. How could these people vote for Pete Hegseth or Pam Bondi or Ice Barbie? Anyway, oh, God. There's a bill to punish women. That's good. The United States is going to withdraw from the human rights record, right? There's been this process whereby all countries are evaluated on their human rights and how good they are at delivering human rights to their people at the United Nations. And for the first time ever, the United States decided we're not going to participate in that, right? Because we're violating human rights so very much. Air Force, Ashley Babbitt, the traitor, the treasonous traitor, who, God, she is the only one that was shot. Those capital city police officers should have pulled their weapons out and mowed down those people. You see cops that are under no threat pull their weapons out all over the country and kill innocent people, right? Someone drives off and they deem it as threatening with their vehicle and they open fire on them but the cops that day refused to do so. They were getting murdered, beaten, assaulted, and yet no one could pull their weapon out. But one guy did, killed one of the traitors, and now they're restoring her honor, giving her full, military honor, and it's gross. And wanting to give her family money, and it's gross. She's a traitor, like everyone who stormed the Capitol that day. Insurrectionists, worthless traitors. Too stupid, apparently, to know what they are. So if you're one of those traitors, now you know, right? You're a traitor. If you're an insurrectionist lover, you're a traitor. Oh, my God. T-Rep bill. Punish women bill. I forget. Anyway. The federal government has a bunch of unions, to protect its workers' rights. And we're destroying all those unions. All the federal government's unions. All their protections have been taken away. It's just disrespectful and rude and un-American, like everything Republicans do. Mom Donnie benches 135. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's 2 plates. And a bunch of macho douchebags are like, oh, that's not very much weight. That's pretty good, man, for a skinny bastard like him. Not a bastard, but he's a skinny fella. And if you can bench, 2 plates, that's pretty good. Or 1 plate on each side. Now, when you get to 2 plates, that's 225. And that is hard to do. That is what the NFL guys do for their combine. They all get evaluated on 225. But how's that for a weird thing for Republican fake men to to criticize? And then all these psychopaths, Republicans who are psychopaths, and their children, and all the psychopaths that have been born out of this movement to create Republican psychopaths. We just see more mass shootings from psychopaths that are following every Republican hate model there is, including the guy, the church shooter that just killed a bunch of children. I mean, oh, God. But what's really killing everyone are Republican gun laws. And Republicans' reproductive health care laws are murdering women, and Republican gun laws are murdering women and children and elderly and men, and fake Republican men who don't believe in giving a woman an orgasm. That's another thing, okay? A real man fights for women, fights with women, and cares about and loves and pursues giving women pleasure. Amongst men, real men, their greatest memories are all the times they pleasured a woman. But in the Republican Party, they don't know how to define a man, right? They don't know what the definition of a man is. They're always asking about what's the definition of a woman. But they don't know what a man is. And it's just funny and obvious and hysterical and sad, because these horrible, evil, crappy people are influencing our young men and women and turning them into weirdos that want to hurt women with their vote, hurt women instead of make love to them. And they're not men. They don't know what it means to be a man. So anyway, that's just sad and true. Of course, oh, and this love fest in China with many axes of evil, all Trump's heroes. The leader of North Korea gets together with Putin and the leader of Iran and India in China with Xi. Oh, and how's this for haunting? They have a conversation about how people will be able to live to 150 pretty soon with all the biotechnological advancements. But what wasn't talked about there was how Xi Jinping is, and China is, has been working on head transplants. And if Xi can get that technology dialed in before he dies, oh, he's just going to sacrifice some 18-year-old healthy stud's body, kill somebody to put his head on their body, which sounds crazy. But if you hear the conversation between Putin and Xi, and then you lay that over the backdrop of China actively working for now 20 years, and people in Italy working on this and other places, they've gotten like a gorilla or a chimpanzee to live for a couple of minutes after doing a head transplant. So that is sick. It's weird, of course. Anyway, and Trump loves those guys, and he feels left out. And if you don't watch, if you've never seen India news, it is super weird. It's anyway, and meanwhile, Putin just bombs relentlessly Kiev. He has no intentions of doing anything but continuing his own genocide, his own ethnic cleansing in Ukraine. And it makes me so sick when I was in New York City, I met some douchebag, some 30-year-old douchebag who's like, oh, we shouldn't be giving any help to Ukraine, because that takes away from, people who have suffered from natural disasters. And I'm like, oh God, like who are these young, dumb people listening to? Is it Joe Rogan? Is it Tim Pool? I mean, how could anybody be that dumb? Like, if you're listening to Tim Pool thinking he has something intelligent to say, you got problems. Or Joe Rogan, oh God, he gets dumber every day. And tomorrow, a Republican's kid, or a kid with Republican ideals of hating, you name it, will kill a bunch of people. It'll kill a bunch of people because of Republican gun laws. They are what's killing people. AOC just gave this fiery speech in Congress about the truth about gun companies, right? In one case, 280 million in profits, surging profits, and a vast majority of that money, where does it go? Into the pockets of Republican politicians, right? It's just lobbying money, just greasing the wheel. So in the last, 248 mass shootings in 1 year or something like that, and the same amount of time in 5 different countries, 5 mass shootings, right? Because of Republican ignorant gun laws, pandering to the gun companies, because when people are murdered, it's easier to sell guns. People thinking that they could become safe with a gun. Guns don't make you safe from bullets. Bullets still enter your body. You can hurl bullets back, but that doesn't protect you from bullets coming at you. This notion that having a gun protects you from other guns is ignorant. Being a civilized, lawful nation, that should protect you from guns, but we're not. Republicans have made us an uncivilized, just barbaric country, and we need to take America back. I just hope it can happen. I don't know. The journalists that were murdered in Gaza, right? Israel strikes a hospital, of course, because they bombed every hospital, right? And then when journalists go to report on it, a double tap, a second strike, killing 5 journalists. One of them worked for Reuters. Just pathetic. 250 journalists have been murdered, executed, targeted executions by the Israeli government. That's more people that have been killed. More journalists have been killed in Gaza than in World War II, plus Vietnam, plus South Korea, all of our wars. Less journalists have died than in little Gaza, right? At the hands of the evil Israeli government that is losing everyone's support everywhere. Anyone with a conscience or a heart or a soul, or that isn't bribed by Israel or controlled, or, they are a very scary country. Yeah. Oh, so the director of the Center of Disease Control at the CDC, Susan Monarez, was fired, and then 3 top other officials at the CDC resigned in protest to her being fired. The CDC is being run by a heroin addict. RFK Jr. is just a frickin' weirdo, just like all Republicans are frickin' weirdos, and they're evil. How about Janine Pirro? What a moron she is, a drunk, a traitor, and she goes after the guy that throws a sandwich at a cop, and the judge laughs it out of court. Thank you, Judge, for standing up for the Constitution. That's not assault, having a sandwich thrown at you. Oh my God. And what meek weaklings these guys are. Oh, you threw a sandwich at me, you need to be prosecuted for assault. The DC mayor makes a sort of a compliment about crime going down since they put military in the streets. I mean, that was pretty gross. Is she just trying to keep from being a target by the racist, bigot, Republican traitors that seize power? Israel protests massively. Hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people have come out into the streets protesting Gaza and the ethnic cleansing. Although a lot of Israelis are ignorant, they only see propaganda through the news. And stepped up offensive. Oh, it just got announced they're going to get 60,000 more reservists are going to be called up because they need to attack Gaza City, more than it's already been attacked. There's only 10% of buildings left. They've murdered 60,000 people. 40,000 of them are children. Oh, and then Bibi Netanyahu does this weird podcast. I didn't know who these weirdo right-wing fools were. These are guys that don't know what it means to be a man. They don't know the definition of a man. And they call themselves the Nelk Boys. Yeah, they're boys. They're morons. And in the weirdest shit ever, Bibi Netanyahu is interviewed by them. I didn't know who these weirdos were, but that's the weirdest shit ever. And they talk about fast food restaurants. I mean, I don't get it. It's just the world is in a pretty messed up timeline. Nothing seems to make sense. What else? There's a 16-year-old American in an Israeli prison, has been there for 6 months. They allege that he's guilty of throwing rocks. Right? Throwing rocks. So he's been in prison, and does America stand up for this kid? Nope. No, Trump's not doing anything to help that kid. And it's disgusting. It's un-American. How about the secret flight data? They figured out how to make planes going to deport people secretive, right? I guess there's some sort of process out there for, rich and famous people to hide where they're flying to, and they've co-opted that, and they're now ICE is using it to deport people without anybody knowing what the flight logs are. So that's a bummer. It's just, they're trying to strip away accountability everywhere, right? Firing the guy who compiles the numbers for, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And they put a freaking insurrectionist in charge of that. It is dystopian. Trump says he wants to murder people because, of course, Republicans kill. Theirs are the thou shalt kill Christians. He wants the death penalty for anybody that commits murder in D.C. Murder for murder, right? Eye for an eye. Yeah, that's if you think that murder is wrong, then it's still wrong when the state commits murder. Okay. The Social Security chief, who was fired, explained that Doge has uploaded to the cloud hundreds of millions of Americans, and that's basically everybody. There's only 300 plus million Americans. So when they say hundreds of millions of Americans, I assume that's pretty much everybody, were uploaded to the cloud. And it's not all that safe. And it's going to be, God knows who's going to get access to it and do what harm to us through digital means. Denmark uncovered 3 horrible people that were trying to influence Greenland into wanting what Trump wants, and that's for Greenland to become a like a state of the U.S., right? And yeah, they're not taking that crap. And God bless them. I'm so glad they rooted out that evil, right? They rooted out the evil Republican treacherous traitors. I wish we could do that. Oh, so sad. So the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, wants to continue to supply Israel with weapons, which is a real disappointment. That's where Democrats really disappoint the country. They need to take a better stance against it, like Bernie Sanders. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been told, oh, you got to plead guilty. You just have to plead guilty. Otherwise, we're going to deport you to Rwanda. It doesn't sound like justice to me. And they're trumping up a case that's not even real. It's a fake case. There are more than 1 million immigrants who've left our country in the past 6 months. Our population has declined by more than 1 million people. And who are these people? Yeah, 75% of them. Although Amy Goodman said 250,000 people have left the workforce, immigrants have left the workforce. I think it's more closer to that million. Like, there are no immigrants that aren't working. They all work. And they're all better people than most of us. And they commit half as much crime as us. They are not criminals. They're not rapists. They're not murderers. Sure, in every population there's crazy people that do harm, but not our immigrants. And so, yeah, our labor force is shrinking. That's for certain. Our population is shrinking. And we are not only, we should be thanking these people. You know, during the pandemic, we thanked these people. We insisted on them continue to work at the meatpacking plant. They were essential workers. We told them we needed them. We forced them to go to work, even if it killed them. And now we show these people the disrespect of deporting them and harming them in the process, taking them away from all of their belongings, their families, their jobs, their cars, their phone, their fridge, their TV. I think they're stealing from their houses, right? Like that family in Kansas or Oklahoma of 3 American citizen women who in the middle of the night were raided by 20 ICE agents, oath-breaking federal agents in the middle of the night, broke down the door, stole all their life savings, stole all their phones and laptops. There was never a follow-up. We don't even know. I wish someone would talk to that family, find out if they ever got their stuff back. But what if they're doing that with everybody, right? And then going into their bank accounts and once they take them out of their house, they could just ransack their house and find all the information, find their bank accounts. So Ghislaine Maxwell, one of Trump's best friends. Trump's hands. So yeah, Trump. And if he is having little strokes, which is possible, my mom had a bunch of mini strokes on her way to one big one. One of them took out the sight in her eye, but she was completely fine otherwise. And so, I mean, of all the things that would be justice-oriented would be if he was in the throes of a brutal stroke, because that would be torture. It is. My brothers had one of these strokes, and the trauma of the event itself, then the trauma daily lived of not having the function of your left arm and left leg, and he lost sight in one eye, and part of his brain doesn't totally function. He's a little bit of a child, or he has no filters, and it is really tough because it had to have been so traumatic, right? But it's trauma that just keeps replaying itself every day. Stroke victims have a real sad experience, and I think it would be the only kind of justice, since it doesn't look like Trump's going to go to jail like he should have. If he has strokes, I think a lot of people are going to celebrate that. How about these petty Republicans in Florida? By the way, the petty Republicans in Florida, the Ron DeSantis, they closed down Alligator Alcatraz. That's cool, thank God. But what a waste, right? $400 million. How many people were paid off, right? How many bribes were given to people in exchange for God knows what, right? All this money going around by people you can't trust, that will misuse that money to try to do God knows what, right? But, Ron DeSantis, when he was interviewed on the tarmac at Alligator Alcatraz, truly cruel and unusual punishment against the Constitution, all of it, and a waste of taxpayers' dollars. The one thing that stood out in his tarmac speech was the thick sole and the pad on top of the thick sole, and then the shoe that was placed on top of that. He's so insecure about his height. It is unbelievable. I have to assume Kash Patel. I think Kash Patel's like 4'11". He's like a little, I don't know, like a munchkin or a troll or a leprechaun, brown skin leprechaun. Seeing him in that chair opposite of a man of normal size. And look, there's nothing wrong with being not very tall, all right? I have all kind of friends in Hawaii that may not be taller than 5'5" or 5'6", but they don't have Napoleon complex. They are badass men in their own right, and nobody goes, hey, you seem short, and they don't have insecurities, right? They're just warriors that happen to be 5'6". I know a lot of guys like that, but there are also guys that are short who have huge insecurities that, well, then they create problems if you're Cash Patel, right? And so a lot of the pain that he is trying to get rid of from being teased, because his name is Cash Yap. He was 4 feet tall and his name was Cash Yap. You don't think that guy was teased brutally? Not that there's anything good about teasing people. But of course he was teased, and that explains why he's such a deplorable human being. Doesn't always have to work out that way. Sometimes people who are teased don't use that to become a terrible person. But Cash Patel did, and yeah. Then there's all these gay Republicans. Have you heard about all this talk about Lindsey Graham? One of his gay lovers came out and talked about how he's got all these gross red moles on his butt, and Lindsey Graham calls them ladybugs. He's got ladybugs on his behind. That's the weirdest story I've ever heard, other than all the weird Republican stories that are out there. Oh my God. But yeah, it's so weird. All these men who don't know what the definition of a man is, right? These gay Republicans, and there's nothing wrong with being gay unless you're a gay guy that goes out to harm gay guys. Oh my God. Lindsey Graham, who wishes he could have been married to a man his whole life, right, has voted to take that right away. And the Supreme Court is going to just keep harming the LGBTQ community. And it's just, but so the TYT Sports guy, what's his name? Nice guy. Anyway, he held up a sign that said, who in the Republican Party do you think is on Grindr? And of course, so, and then gay guys came up. He was at a gay celebration, and guys came up, of course, said Lindsey Graham, and talked. Seems to be like the whole gay community knows about Lindsey Graham's ladybugs on his butt. Oh, gross. But then a lot of them were like, oh, Greg Abbott, definitely gay, like, right? Because they got gaydar. They can sense a gay guy better than most. And Little Dick Mike Johnson, Little Dick Johnson, they said he's definitely gay also. Interesting. But it's also interesting when people morph into being gay and hating themselves and their own community. But of course, they're drawn to Christianity because, you know, that's where you learn to hate the gay people and be ashamed of yourself. Oh, so sad. I am just so disgusted with all the religions. Is there any religion that isn't famous for raping children? My God. This guy, Wilson, Doug Wilson, the leader of this sick and twisted church, he forgave somebody who raped his children, babies. Gross. Oh, he is forgiven. Yeah. See, in the world of religious thinking, which doesn't make any sense in the first place, what also doesn't make sense in the second, third, fourth, fifth, and 100th place is any religion that says, oh, you can just rape a baby every day of your life, but right before you die, if you say, Jesus, please forgive me, you'll get to go to heaven. What an invite to sick and twisted psychopaths that are going to want to do harm and commit crimes. And then all I got to do is say, Jesus, please forgive me. Like, it's so weird. 1,000 protests on Labor Day. Of course, labor's being crushed. The tariffs have been voted down by the courts. Of course, they're totally unlawful because the only people that can issue tariffs is Congress. It's in the Constitution. But Republicans don't believe in the Constitution. They are un-American traitors, treasonous traitors. They are the enemy within. Of course, they call Democrats the enemy within. They call CNN the enemy within. They call everyone who isn't a racist bigot the enemy within. But of course, it's all projection. Man, 70 minutes. All right. I think I got through most of it. Now let's take a quick look at the news in the last. Oh, it's been ruled that Trump illegally put the National Guard in LA, which is obvious. And you guys in the National Guard need to quit. You need to resign. You need to say, I cannot follow an unconstitutional order. All you sick federal agents need to do the same thing, because you are sick. You are politically, mentally ill. Oh, and the murder, watching that boat just get obliterated by our brutal military. Oh, God. Of course, the parents of the mass shootings would like to see some gun control, but Republicans don't want that. They want to say, let's just pray and worry about these people. So here they come into Chicago. Now, Chicago is a pretty tough city, and it's got some pretty tough people, and they are not going to take this very easily. But of course, Trump and the racist traitors, the Republicans, they want chaos. They want Black Lives Matter protests so they can use that as a reason to escalate all of the horrible things that are being done, that have been done to the American people and people from other countries and people in other countries. I never finished. So yeah, they're rewriting history with Ghislaine Maxwell. They got her to. They don't have transcripts. What they did was just cook up some books saying that those are the transcripts, but they're not. And as Lawrence O'Donnell reported, what isn't reported in there is all these sick, immoral, inhumane Republicans laughing while they're discussing all of the horrible aspects to Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and their best friend, Donald Trump. So, yeah, that's just history being revised. All these women and girls are coming out to... But what I worry about, I suspect, I believe that there were thousands of girls raped, right? And there were sick, evil men who didn't want to use condoms. How many of those little girls got pregnant? What was done with them once they got pregnant? Were they kept there to have the baby? If you haven't seen it, there is a video that I watched like a decade ago about the belief, this is a conspiracy theory, that they were eating babies in the bowels beneath that like temple building on Jeffrey Epstein's island. There's a tunnel in there. There's this sketchy, blurry surveillance footage of what was explained as these people eating babies. Pretty far-fetched, crazy. What if it's true? I don't know. But in the process of Jeffrey Epstein being apprehended, one of the first things they did was fill those tunnels with concrete. So I'd like to see a forensic, I'd like to see them break up that concrete and get in there and see what they find. Also, there's only like, a dozen women coming forward. There were thousands of victims. Were they chopped up? Were they put out in the ocean as chum? Were they buried out in New Mexico, out in the desert? I'd like to see them go out there in the desert and look for bodies. Or did they just liquefy these girls? There's this one woman who has the most compelling testimony that was made, that was sold as a child to a brothel for rich and wealthy and powerful men. And in that description, she is, after she is raped at the age of 5 and 6 and 7, she's brought into a room and laid on a like giant block of wood that's full of blood stains, because that's where they chop up little girls. And John Rockefeller decides, I'm going to keep you for my own. And then he uses her in all these nefarious ways to get information on people. He rents her out or gives her to people as she's 9, 10 years old. It is just horrifying. And it's in some brothel in Europe. And she finally names the name of John Rockefeller just recently, which trips me out. I might have my like a Christmas card from John Rockefeller to my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather was so successful. He was friends with 7 presidents and the Rockefellers and all of the most successful people in the world. He was a member of the Bohemian Grove before he died in 1933 or 33. So knowing from that testimony that that's one of the things that these people do, I mean, isn't that the best way to eliminate the evidence, which comes out years later? Oh, how about the Giuffre girl? She's finally been unalived. No, Nancy Grace. She's convinced that what is her first name? Anyway, the Giuffre girl who testified against all these guys, who testified about being raped by Prince Henry or whoever that god awful rapist is from the crown, and Prince William, and I mean, but yeah, and then what the douchey Trump supporting lawyer raped her also, and it's just unbelievable. And anyway, so yeah, I mean, here we have like 5, 10 women coming forward now. How many weren't lucky enough to live? Were any of them killed? And if so, how many? Because it seems like we should have 500 women. I mean, thousands of girls were raped. So systematically by Republicans and Christians and Jews. And the prime minister of Israel went to the island, was good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, did everything he could to lose his security detail when he went there. I mean, it's just so deep and disturbing, all of that sex cult, the criminal, gross. Again, Republicans don't know what it means to be a man, right? They think men who rape children are men. Is that what they think? Because that's what they do. Anyway, Chicago prepares for the surge of racist traitors in police uniforms to come to town. Trump says the U.S. may unwind the trade deals if it loses the tariff case. He's such a douche. Oh, how about the 11-year-old that was murdered? What was he murdered by? Republican gun laws. Kills an 11-year-old who was doorbell ditching. They call it ding dong ditch. It's doorbell ditching. No one has ever called it ding dong ditch. That's the weirdest ding dong ditch shooting. Why are they calling it that? It's doorbell ditch. Anyway, I mean, that's what we called it when we were kids and did that. Anyway, court blocks Trump from deporting Venezuelans. J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance is just licking his chops. Can't wait. Is hoping Trump's going to get sick and die. And when he does, J.D. Vance, God knows who he's going to appoint. Will he appoint Peter Thiel or the president of Palantir to his cabinet? His spiritual advisor will probably be the leader of that church who thinks you women are only here to make sandwiches for us men and to be vessels for us to pump full of baby batter so that you can just have babies. That's your purpose, ladies. That's what the dumb Republicans. The Republicans are so dumb because they just don't understand what a man is. A man is someone who fights for women, with women, and who lives to please a woman, which is everything the opposite of this gay manosphere who hate themselves represents. Like the Tate rape brothers that Trump pardoned out of prison in Europe so he could bring here to run loose in America, you know? Unbelievable. Anywho, that is most of the god-awful news for the past 3 weeks. Oh, Bill Moyer is just, not Bill Moyer, sorry. What's his name? That little weirdo who is a Zionist. I didn't know what Zionism was, and now I am fully aware, and it is all bad. This desire for now 135 years of Jews to want to exterminate, ethnically cleanse a whole region. It is pure evil, and there's no defending it. Zionism isn't something that can be defended, I don't think. Oh, but there's crazy ass psychopathic Jewish supremacists, right? And that's where all the problems exist. Whenever people think they're better than other people and that they're supreme over them and they have a right to life more than them, it's problematic, to say the least. And it leads to all kinds of harm being done on behalf of religion. Anyway, thank you for watching All Good Things in All Good Time. I hope to keep losing weight, exercising like a warrior, eating right, sleeping right, and going to school. Oh, school. So I'm taking 2 writing courses. One is a screenwriting class from this guy Brian Cohen, who's made 2 movies. One is Get a Job, and the other is Kuleana. One is a heavy Hawaiian movie, and the other is a Hawaiian comedy with Eric Gilliam and Willie K. Sorry, a little brain fog there. And so that's cool. And then I'm taking another class about film criticism, which are all part of the creative media arts section, right? I need to complete all these classes in order to get a degree in creative media arts or a 2-year certificate. But in addition, I'm taking that business course. But I'm also taking one that's kind of outside that, my first art class. Although photography was kind of my first art class, and that was hella cool. I learned a lot that I wish I knew when I was 18. But I'm taking this fun intro to printmaking from this woman who is just amazingly passionate about printmaking, which I don't imagine I'm going to meet too many people in my life who are distinctly passionate about this one thing, and it being printmaking. So nevertheless, I've been having fun learning how to print make, and I've never seen myself as an artist or a person with artistic ability or skill, but these teachers are making me feel good about myself, and I'm starting to think it could be possible, or it is possible. And I'm suddenly thinking, of course, Jane Fonda said you'll live an extra 7.5 years if you take art classes. But because of the general support from this teacher and the joy of this art class, I'm going to do what I didn't think I could or should. You know, like I'm going to take an intro to drawing class, and then a oil painting class, and a intro to acrylic, and paint and draw, even though I draw and paint like a third grader. So, but I'm expecting, now that I'm having this wonderful experience with this wonderful teacher, professor, I'm anticipating really nice art teachers who are really kind to people like me who suck. You know, I think if I show up to every class and do my best and turn in every assignment, even if it's not good work because I don't have any talent, I think I could still get A's in those classes, which is what I need to do. I have a 3.9 grade point average, so I want to keep that up, like more, as much as anything. And I ponder the concept of, you know, what if I applied to Harvard and could get in, you know, or lots of other institutes. But my grandmother's a direct descendant of one of the founders of Harvard, so that would be kind of cool. And I need to trace all of her family lineage back, and of course it's all in New England. She's a direct descendant of the second governor of Massachusetts and founders of Harvard, and so on. But I lost all that. I had the paperwork, I had that information, but it burned up in the fire. And also on my mom's side of the family, the Hamilton side, I'm a direct descendant of William Brewster from the Mayflower, and it was on a piece of paper. I don't know why I didn't take a picture of it or make copies and give them to my kids or my brother. And it was super messed up because it starts out with William Brewster's daughter, like Patience Brewster or something. And there are many name changes through many daughters on the way to the Hamilton family that goes back to Russellville, Arkansas, then moved out to California. So I need to figure out how to accomplish creating that again. But anyway, so I'm in school and I'm taking some writing classes, which I registered on Tuesday for a Monday class that had already happened. So I was absent of the first class, both of those writing classes. And then that was a Monday class. And then, of course, Monday was a holiday. So I couldn't go to that class this week. But I know both teachers, so I think they'll be pretty cool. And it should be interesting. I also don't see myself as a writer per se. But I would love to take real life history that I know about different things, my family in some cases, and then put that into a TV series. It would be pretty cool. My great-grandfather survived 26 attempts on his life from a guy named Harry Orchard and the Western Federation of Miners. So amongst other interesting stories, that would be one of them. So on. And to put just to create the stories around that, and to put in some humor, and make like a TV show out of it, that would be cool. Anyway, all right, we are at an hour and a half, and that is probably long enough. Interesting, the nice people from other countries who tune in and who may not speak English, but you're tuning in because of my live streams of the ocean, which are something that penetrates all languages. You don't need to know the language of beauty. Oh, here's an idea. I was asking myself, why was I hoodwinked into Christianity in the first place, right? And I think as a child, this concept in the prayer, you know, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, right? This notion that you will do as in heaven as you will on earth, or you will do on earth as you would in heaven, right? That is a cool concept. But then what it turns into, Christianity doesn't focus on that. It just focuses on dividing people, seeing anyone who doesn't believe what you believe as wicked. It's crazy. I listen to these psychos on the radio all the time because they're all over the radio dial. There are psychotic Christians preaching this garbage all over the middle of the dial. They're no longer at the bottom and the top of the radio. They're in the 96s and the 101s, and I'm flipping channels, and I constantly accidentally stop on one of these terrible stations and then get stuck. Listen to it for a second before I hear just the worst, most un-American, you know, the supremacist stuff, the Christian supremacist stuff. It's disheartening. But I was thinking, you know, what would have been, and then this notion that someone had to be tortured and murdered to protect me from my sins or save me from my, how does that seem sensible to anybody? I mean, it's so far from some common sense thing. I'll never get it. But I tell you what would sort of make sense would be if Christianity told us that, okay, if you live your life as a good person, not committing harm, not raping and murdering people like so many Republicans are busy doing, you'll go to the good place. You'll go to heaven, right? And in heaven, if you're a really good person in heaven, you might just be allowed to go on vacation on Mother Earth, right? Assume a body for 20 to 100 years, because Earth has got to be, there is no way heaven is more beautiful than Earth. There is no way anything in the universe is more beautiful than Earth. But dirty, disgusting, horrible people that want to set fire to the earth. Oh, because according to some jerk I just watched on that one of the horrible right-wing channels, this country musician was talking about how the first time it was with floods, second time God, you know, wiped everybody out was with fire, and that's what's coming. Oh, and then that brings up our crusader, Pete Hegseth, who wrote a book called The Crusade, just published, because he has this disturbed, religiously mentally ill mindset, like all the Zionists, that they need to be fulfilling some sort of biblical prophecy. Now, how are you going to bring fire to the earth? They're not going to wait for a volcano. They got nuclear weapons, right? They just need a few nuclear weapons in a few places to set fire to the earth and then bring Jesus back. The second coming of Jesus is going to come when they set fire to the earth. Like, what? So that's the scariest shit ever. And that's why Trump will never take him out of office. He's just a ball licker that's going to just do anything Trump wants. And it doesn't matter what kind of deplorable, stupid mistakes he makes, compromising national security. It just doesn't matter. But yeah, if Christianity made sense, what would sort of make sense to me was if you were able to, because there's no way heaven is even half as good as earth. Earth is heaven's heaven, in my opinion. And that would be a more plausible religion. I think I could believe a little bit in that religion, even if I knew it was probably just all a lie, because nobody on earth knows anything about what God thinks or wants. And the Bible doesn't. The Bible was written by people who are trying to control other people. The notion that, and listen to these idiot religious people talk about what they, God this and God wants that and God believes this and all according to the Bible. It's just nobody on earth ever knows what God is thinking or doing. God lives in a transcendent space, in another world. He is otherworldly. He's not in this world. Anyway, it's weird. And it's god awful news, bitches. Oh man. I wonder if I would sell out for a little bit of money to some dark Democratic money I would, as long as I didn't have to like agree to anything. Anyway, yeah. How is it even possible that more billionaires want to destroy America than make it a better place? All these right-wing psychopaths that want to destroy America. Why would you want that as a billionaire? Oh, and meanwhile, of course, all the billionaires are building bunkers because they can see Armageddon coming. The Republicans setting fire to the earth. And how long will it be before China, North Korea, Iran, India team up to wage war against us? Because we're now the biggest assholes in the world, right? And us and the Israelis. Anyway, all right. Well, if you want to make your life better, of course, don't snort anything. Try to avoid popping pills, unless it's like your leukemia medication, right? And that includes like ibuprofen, man. That kills your liver. Tylenol kills you. Don't trust pills. You don't need supplements. You need healthy food. So don't take pills. Don't gamble. Gambling will ruin your life, right? If you want to have a good life, don't gamble. A lot of people kill themselves because of gambling, right? Don't drive drunk. Oh, let's talk about alcohol real quick. They have discovered that alcohol, well, there's no good amount. I have it on my list of things to do to basically eliminate it from my life almost entirely. I'm never going to say I quit and then never do it again, but I'm always going to understand that there is no good amount. And what happens is, what we should be afraid of is our brains drying out and shrinking as we get older. That's Alzheimer's. That's dementia, right? I once saw this TED Talk of a lady who spoon-fed her husband, her Alzheimer's husband, coconut oil, and it totally brought him back. So that seems to keep the brain wet, maybe. But alcohol definitely dries out the brain, which makes sense. It would dry out anything. It's alcohol. And there is no good amount. Maybe 2 beers a week won't do you harm, but any and all amounts does harm. So while I'm still occasionally having 1 or 2, I am in the process of eventually getting rid of alcohol from my life. So don't drive drunk, and drinking in the first place is not a good idea. Science now tells us that. It took a while for science to get there, right? You can have 1 beer a day, or you can drink red wine and live longer. No, it's all basically bad. So that's just kind of too bad, because alcohol is a little bit fun, but it's also bad for your liver. And so, there's that. Then there's relationships. Stay out of the wrong relationships, bad relationships, unhealthy relationships. I have 2 friends who committed suicide because they fell in love with a woman, and then she broke up with them. And they were old like me, and the woman was always a little younger, and the wrong relationships can kill you. So avoid the wrong relationships, right? And then what else? What else can kill you? This is all the most, sometimes it isn't what you're doing, it's what you're not doing that's going to make your life way better. Or, all you can really do, all I can do is play the odds in my favor, right? Eat right, exercise, sleep right, drive in the right lane. If there's a middle lanes that are next to each other, and there's a second lane way over here, drive in the second lane over, right? Increase your odds of survival every day by, taking less risks doing everything. But yeah, the wrong habits, bad habits can kill you. And it's just sad when that happens. So to my saying, do no harm, do no crime. Thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. Hope you have a great day to be alive. It is a great day to be alive, even though for many people it isn't. And that is all because of our nefarious, evil Republican government. It is just so disturbing to watch every day. But yeah, so the expectation from day one, since he was elected, was that he will try to create chaos in the streets so that he'll have to say, I have to impose the Insurrection Act and then deploy martial law, which he's already deployed. He's eliminated habeas corpus. Oh, sorry, I don't even know what I was saying there because it's just so sad and disheartening. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna let people vote. They're gonna put their racist traitors at the polling places, and their military and their ICE agents, all these oath breakers. Gnarly. So that's what I guess we can expect. And, you know, I don't think Chicago's going to take it easily. And it's not a killing field. You know where the killing fields are? All the red states. Yeah, there's a lot more killing going on in the Republican states because they have looser gun laws, and loose gun laws murder innocent people. And it's so weird. How about Brandon Herrera? The mass shooter in Minnesota references Brandon Herrera for president. Oh, what a sick weirdo. Imagine your whole life is all about guns and making gun videos. I own a gun store and I can get access to all these guns and watch me shoot guns. There's so much of that content out there. And it is just, well, it just shows how insecure all these weak men are, right? Men who don't know how to define a man. They don't know what a man is. But yeah, the mass shooter referenced a Republican. And then, of course, Republicans try to turn it into him being transgender. Like 1% of shootings is by someone who might be gay. The majority of them are all right-wing Republican domestic terrorists, right? And now, if you're one of those right-wing Republican domestic terrorists, you can get a job working for the government harming brown and black-skinned people. Wait till they just start deporting Americans because no one's watching. They don't, you know, when they round up a black person, they're just going to send them back to Africa. And if you're a black guy that voted for this, boy, are you a dummy. All right. Well, thanks again. Hope you're all having a great day. And I recommend you abandon your religion and become a good person in your community and focus on it. If you're religious, just be a good person in your community. And if there's a heaven, you'll go there. Have faith. It's not going to have anything to do with whether or not you say this or that or ask for forgiveness or whatever. It will all have to do with, if that stuff's real, how you live your life. So live it as a good person. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. Aloha.